Shark Tank can skyrocket your business, but it also can tank your business. It's not a here you're on Shark Tank, you're immediately successful. It's here you're on Shark Tank with your business at the current stage it's at, and we're about to skyrocket the visibility. And if you can't keep up, somebody else is going to figure it out.
Women Who Own It podcast spotlights women business owners who are pioneers in their field, setting trends, blazing trails, and creating game-changing innovations. Brought to you by WeBank, the largest certifier of women-owned businesses in the U.S. and a leading advocate for women business owners and entrepreneurs. And me, Allison Maslin. I've been a business owner for the last 35 years. I'm the Wall Street Journal best-selling author of the book Scale or Fail. So join our bold community of women who built it, grew it, and own it. I'll see you on the show. Welcome to the Women Who Own It podcast, where we are diving into the theme of momentum. We are exploring how our network of women-owned businesses builds and sustains momentum in their practices and operations, from developing successful strategies to overcoming obstacles and leveraging community support. Our guests will share their insights and experiences in driving growth and innovation. So, on the show today, we hope to inspire you with tons of amazing tips on how to stay ahead of the curve in this ever-evolving market. So join us because we are about to embark on an incredible journey of learning, discovery, and growth. And I was so excited to find who our guest was going to be today because I'm actually a huge fan of her product. Kelly Higney is the founder and CEO of The Bug Bite Thing, which is dedicated to offering people a chemical-free and eco-friendly solution that alleviates the discomfort, stinging and itching and swelling caused by insect bites and stings. As seen on Shark Tank twice, Bug Bite Thing uses suction to remove insect saliva venom from under the skin, and it's reusable. It's chemical-free, it's drug-free. It is the most amazing thing you've ever seen, and it's safe to use on children of all ages as well as adults. It's Amazon's #1 selling product for insect bug bite relief with over 75,000 reviews, and they are continuing their global expansion. We're going to talk all about that today. And they're also in 30,000 retail locations, including CVS, Joann's, Rite Aid, the Home Depot, Walgreens, and more. So, Kelly, welcome to Women Who Own It.
Thank you so much for having me on. I'm super excited to be here, and even more excited you use the Bug Bite Thing.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm a big fan of not needing to use drugs whenever necessary, but really the point is that this is just so much more effective. And what a journey you've been on. And I read that you had even sold your home to raise money to develop the products early on,
I
or
did.
to
Yeah.
yeah.
So
So
Bug
that's dedication for sure.
Absolutely. It's been a crazy journey from how this all came about to where we're at now and how it happened in such a short amount of time. And it's exciting. I'm very excited to share my story with your community.
Yeah, so let's start with that. Can you share how the Bug Bite Thing got
Yeah.
started?
So it all started back in 2013. I was born and raised in a very entrepreneurial family. My grandmother owned her own businesses. My mother owned her own business. So I kind of grew up in an office. I was very much a left in the lunchroom for dinner, but was around all of the craziness and hustle and bustle. So I kind of grew up thinking outside of the box and maybe a little differently than the normal one track path thinking. So in 2013, we got the unique opportunity to relocate from San Diego, California to South Florida. And I was going to start learning our family distribution company. I was a new mom. My daughter was 6 months old at the time. And so we packed everything up, moved completely across country to begin our new life. And one thing immediately that happened, not even within the first day or two, was the mosquitoes. Now I grew up in San Diego. There's a ton of mosquitoes there, but I never reacted the way I was reacting to the mosquito bites here in South Florida. But what was worst is my daughter. So Leah, she was a baby, 6 months old at the time, would get one mosquito bite and it would turn into a golf ball size welt. Days of swelling, pain, and itching. It progressed, meaning, we were literally eliminating and avoiding the outdoors because we were finding ourselves in the doctor's office weekly on some type of antibiotic treatment, steroid cream. I was constantly applying over the counter creams on her, just to keep her reactions at bay so we didn't end up in the doctor's office. So one bite, I would be applying creams to just keep the swelling down so it didn't get infected. And I was putting that on her over and over again throughout the day. And I started getting major mom guilt because there were a lot of chemicals and other things I didn't know of in there. This went on for a good year period where we were miserable. She would itch. We would put the anti-itch cream on. It would burn her. She would cry. She would refuse it. So it became a really big problem for us. And so I tried every home remedy possible, like any mom would do. Pinterest, rubbing dryer sheets on us, literally avoiding everything we can. Nothing was working. So I happened to start researching how other countries were combating insect bites. And I came across a little known suction tool that was being sold through some industrial first aid kits overseas. And the premise behind it, first off, I learned about what mosquitoes and bees and all these other insects do to you. They're actually injecting their saliva or venom under the surface of your skin. For mosquitoes, it's so they can continue to drink their blood. It's a numbing effect. Bees, it's their venom that you're reacting to. So I learned a lot about mosquito bites and bee stings and things like that. And the premise behind the tool was if you catch the bite or sting early enough, you can actually extract some of that saliva or venom for your body to then not produce those crazy reactions that cause all the itching, swelling, and other uncomfortable symptoms. So I thought there's absolutely no way that's going to work, right? Because if something so simple that was chemical free worked and gets to the root cause of the problem, why wouldn't it be everywhere? So what did I have to lose? We're rubbing dryer sheets on us at this point. So I ordered one in, and I will never forget it. I got a bite on the way to the mailbox. I lived in a little 2-story condo in Palm Beach Gardens, and I grabbed the tool, and mind you, there's no instructions. It's coming from a different country. I just have this little suction tool. So I used it to what I thought was relief. I put it over the bite. I pulled up on the handles. I held it and I pushed them back down. And within 30 seconds, I could feel the tool working as I was using it, and all of the itching, swelling, and welt just never formed. And that was a little weird for me because I
That's
usually
incredible.
react pretty, right away. I start forming the welt, then it starts to get inflamed, and then I go through the process. So that welt just never formed. And I was like, what on earth? So the real test was my daughter, who was truly suffering. Fast forward, she's about 2.5 at this point. And so I start trying the tool on her. And not even the first day, we started to immediately see results. Her bite wouldn't get as big. I'm like, okay, well, maybe if I use an extra time or an extra suction, maybe they'll eliminate. So I essentially cracked the code of how to use the product the most effective on myself and my daughter. And that became our go-to solution where we could not live without it. Meaning, if we didn't have our one suction tool I ordered from overseas with us at all times, we were going to have a week or two ordeal. So that was my new first aid tool that was a lifeline for myself and my family. And so using the product, start hearing, now I'm hypersensitive about other people dealing with mosquito bites. And I've got this great handy gadget, and I'm like, well, here, just suction it out. And so I start sharing with friends and family, and they're all getting the exact same results. They're using it and they're going, what on earth? Why is this not here? This could be really impactful for people that are suffering. We avoid the outdoors. So I ended up tracking down the manufacturer that was producing the product. Um, and I pitched him my concept. And at the time, I just said, I want to order a little sample batch to help my own community, and I'm going to sell them at my daughter's bake sales. So he said, okay. We that was our first interaction, our first connection. Shipped out the samples. Again, there's no name for it. There's nothing. It's just a suction tool. So I get them. I put them up, and I start developing what I can to sell them at the bake sales. So I created a name, Bug Bite Thing. The name came about literally because I said, to my husband, go grab that bug bite thing so we can think of a name. So it just stuck.
Yes.
So
Perfect.
I always thought if I'm going to sell these at farmers markets and bake sales, I want people to go, what is a bug bite thing? And at least be
Yeah.
intrigued by what it is. So started selling my little sample batch at the bake sales. And within 2 weeks, I was there each Friday. All the people who purchased to give it a shot to help me out came back full swing. Oh my goodness, I need more of these. These are helping. My aunt needs one. My cousin needs one. Then I started getting all the feedback. It was working. My husband got stung by a bee. My kid was at the park and got stung by a wasp, screaming in pain.
Wow.
I pulled this out, I used it, and they went back to playing. So all these very, very small, I had maybe 30 units at the time. It was very, very small sample batch, and they were life-changing results, every one of them, like it was for me. And that's
Wow.
when I said, okay, I'm on to something here. um, so ordered another little small batch in from the factory, still at my daughter's bake sales, start selling them. And now I have a line out of my car door during pickup time, during non bake sale days, for friends and family driving all the way out of their way to come purchase a bug bite thing out of my Shopify app out of the back of my car. So at that point, I was still working a full time job, learning my family distribution company. So I was at a pivotal moment where I said, I can't do both of these full time. Is now the time to make the leap and do this and go all in? I couldn't unhear some of the feedback I was getting of how it was impacting other people's lives like it was mine. So we made the very, very crazy and difficult decision to go all in, which required us to sell our house. So that was the pivotal moment, where I ended up quitting my full-time job to go full-time in Bug Bite Thing. We sold the house. We moved into a rental house, which was smaller, and I bought my first batch of inventory. During that time, and with the sale of my house, I was able to negotiate exclusive distribution rights for the product for the entire United States. That's when I created my
So
website.
smart. So smart
I thought,
that you did
if
that.
I push it and put all the work and build the market, I don't want a bunch of competition and it
Yes.
becomes MLM. So it was never my MO. I always saw this product as a first aid tool, as a necessity for anybody that's truly suffering from bug bites or stings. It was never about the money for me. It was always about my community and helping people, because I was the one struggling every day. And there's a lot of people out there like that.
Yeah. And so you that kind of leads me to my next question, Kelly, because having a big why creates so much momentum for a brand. If someone's in a business just to make money, they tend to not have the wherewithal or the resilience to get through the ups and downs because, even when you have a big demand, stuff happens, right?
Yep.
And so when you're so, I can tell you're really heart driven to help people.
It's
And
my community. It's the community. They're driving the brand for us, you know?
right. But this is why, for those of you listening, having a why
Yeah.
really does make a difference. I've talked to business owners over the years because we mentor CEOs. And I remember one woman who she just was like, well, Allison, it's the money. It's the money. That's why I'm doing it. I can't really think of a why, and I'm like, Dana, there's got to be a why.
Yeah.
And so then I don't know, 6 months later, she calls me in tears. I figured out my why and what really moves her about the business. And that was the game changer
You just
for
identified a really big missing piece that even I work with a lot of entrepreneurs. And it's like, if you're not self driven and see it with a 10-foot pole of what you're trying to accomplish and what you're actually trying to do and why, you're going to not be self motivated to build your business in the proper direction. You want to do what makes you passionate, that you can speak seamlessly about, that you know it's making an impact, because it makes your job fun, right? You're helping people and you're doing it in a way that you see fit, that's also bringing peace to yourself, and your efforts and your work are doing something bigger, right? Not just for yourself.
Yeah, 1,000%. And employees. I mean, you're employing a lot of people, and I want to talk about that as well.
Yep.
Now, you went on to Shark Tank.
Yes.
And so I want to ask you about that. And Lori Grenier was, we've actually had Damon John, Barbara Corcoran at our events, and they endorsed my book, Scale or Fail.
Amazing.
And just lovely, lovely people. But was there anything that surprised you about the experience being on Shark Tank, and how has that impacted your growth?
Yeah. Well, when I was on the show, I blacked out pretty much. No, I didn't realize how real it was going to be. It is completely authentic when you go on and you pitch the sharks and you go through your how your meeting's going to go, how your presentation's going to go, all the questions that they're going to ask you, they are real. They're real business questions, because fast forward to where I'm at now, I'm getting asked the same questions.
Mhm.
So, if anything I can say is Shark Tank can skyrocket your business, but it also can tank your business. It is a real live scenario, and obviously everybody's experiences differ. We went on the show with full transparency. I'm an authentic person. I don't really know how to not be blunt, so I said, you know what, I'm going to just go with what my community's saying, showcase how I get my own community to back me, and over prepare. And we were very thankful we over prepared. I studied every episode, and I did that for a reason, because when you're picking a business partner, you need to make sure their methods and their mentality and their business structure aligns with what you're trying to do as well. So it's a real scenario. And because we partnered with Lori, and she was, who we were targeting, because her demographic and her audience and everything she stood for and believed in just aligned seamlessly with what we were trying to build. It became very exciting when we got her golden ticket offer, which she only did
Yeah,
for
I
one
saw
more
that.
season,
I
which was
watched the
funny.
episode.
It
Yeah,
was
for those of
very,
you listening, go back and Google and watch the episode, because you did. Like, they covet that
they all made
golden ticket.
offers. They all made offers. Lori offered us the golden ticket. And, what I would say to everybody is, after Shark Tank aired, it got really real. It's not a, here you're on Shark Tank, you're immediately successful. It's, here you're on Shark Tank with your business at the current stage it's at, and we're about to skyrocket the visibility. And if you can't keep up, somebody else is going to figure it out. So that was the pressure I felt. And it very much happened that way. After we aired, things exploded. A lot of the retailers started coming to us because people were getting bit out in the public, and 2-day shipping wasn't fast enough. So people were traveling, they forgot their bug bite thing at home. They needed to run to a pharmacy to go grab one. Somebody got stung. They're going on a trip. So um, that whole retail sector opened up after Shark Tank, and that was because of our own community. But if we weren't able to have the tools and the infrastructure that we had in place when we aired on Shark Tank, we would have never been able to even understand what was coming in and at what magnitude, and where our resources need to be deployed and in what order. Because when you have
Yeah.
all that momentum coming, what do you do?
Yeah, the other thing that I think it's important to note is, and I see this a lot when I'll ask business owners, tell me about your business, and having that pitch ready, just that quick elevator pitch. And a lot of times there's a and kind of a deer in the headlight sort of thing, or they say too much. But the fact that you really studied and were ready and you were getting clear on the messaging and which shark you wanted. I mean, that's even if you don't go on Shark Tank, you're going to be having an opportunity to pitch your business all day, every day, people that you're talking to. And WeBank is phenomenal at this because they give you a lot of opportunities to pitch your business to corporate
And
and things like that. But
just like
so,
you said, if you're not on Shark Tank, you can still study Shark Tank, still see the questions they're asking, still see how the businesses are positioning themselves and what's intriguing investors. And that is real. So a
yes.
lot can be learned from that.
Yeah, if you're going for investment dollars, it's a great way to learn because when you're doing your pitch, people are busy. They want to hear the most important things up front, right? And
And how they
so,
can throw fuel in the fire, right? They don't want to run your business and sidetrack from what they're already doing. They want
yeah,
to incorporate your business and throw fuel in the fire with little effort. So everybody can
yes.
maximize their efforts. So
Yeah. Now you bought the rights to sell the product in the US, but now you have some global rights. I would love to know, and I think this is great for the listeners, what has the experience been like to expand out of the country? Because I know that there are a lot of products that are sold here in the US that could definitely do well internationally.
yeah. So Shark Tank, again, skyrocketed everything, which gave us a lot of visibility with our branding, our name, our method, the way we were teaching it, how we were presenting ourselves, our own community. So that itself held value. So we went back and renegotiated our contract with our factory. We became the exclusive distributor globally. Our factory has now converted to Bug Bite Thing Europe, and they are helping us conquer half of the other side of the world through shipping and distribution. And we're all working with our international partners to create the synergy and the brand standards so we can really execute this globally. We've already began, again, when you're branching from US business to global business, it's different in every country. The restrictions are different, the what you're allowed to say, the claims, the clinical testing. There's a lot that goes into it. So, for example, we're going to be launching into Australia next week. We're doing a big launch. That was a 2 year approval process because we're a medical device. We have to be FDA registered here in the United States. So everything has to be set up, right? IP,
Yes.
websites, social media, where are they getting their assets from to mimic our vibe and our style? So a lot of that had to be developed. And again, we're trying to develop that live amongst all the momentum from our e-commerce business, all happening very quickly with the Shark Tank publicity. Because if we
Yeah.
don't jump on it, what's going to happen? Somebody else is. So
Yeah, you have to move on it. And, there's different cultures, different, they approach things differently with sales and relationships, all those things to consider. However, it's a whole other amazing market for those of you that are considering. If you're doing well here, there's a good chance that there are some other communities around the world that would want your products and services.
I would
Uh,
highly recommend people looking into Amazon Global. They've opened up a massive amount of opportunity for US sellers to branch globally, protected through Amazon and their distribution centers. So they
that's a
have a lot
great
of
idea. That's a
really good
great idea.
programs that I would highly recommend looking into for that.
You know what's so interesting that you say that because we have a house in Mexico. My husband and I live there part time,
Yeah,
and we do buy on Amazon because it will ship to Mexico. Whereas if I ship directly, a lot of times things get stuck in customs.
you have to
But
pay
for some reason,
taxes,
with Amazon, they
duties.
get right in.
Yes. Yeah, there's a different process. They figured out how to branch it globally. So that is something people should be looking into if they're looking into global business. The other thing is you need to make sure you have brand protection set up. What I mean by that is how do you combat counterfeiters? How do you combat knockoffs? How do you know if it's authentic product being circulated around in these retail stores? How do you prevent a big retailer, if you have that success, from dumping your product and liquidating it? So all of these little loopholes and things that can put a business out of put a business literally out of business need to be looked at before you take that next phase.
Yes, it's such great advice, and you definitely want to have a great, trademark attorneys and attorneys to work with you internationally.
Compliance
For
departments, there's a lot. Insurance requirements are different. It's another beast. But
Yeah,
the world is a lot bigger than one country. So
yeah, and it's a lot easier than it used to be. So, I mean, as much as all these things matter, what used to do international commerce would be millions of dollars more because we can reach people digitally. It's
well,
you
and with the new shift with TikTok and live selling, which I'll talk about
yeah.
because bug biting is big time shifting and pivoting into that direction as well for what we're seeing not only in our own community but across the board globally. So,
Oh, wow. I haven't checked out your TikTok channel, but I bet there's some really creative things that you could do
yes.
with that. How fun. So, what have been your biggest lessons when it comes to getting into retail stores? Now, I know you had some help from Shark Tank, but we have a lot of those that are listening that have incredible products that they're maybe dabbling, but they'd love to get in further. What would be some tips that you could share
The
or what you
number
learned?
one the number one tip I would say is create the demand before you even approach retail. Develop your own community, create the demand, ensure that if you post something because your community needs to go purchase it, that you have an audience that you can post something and they will go into a store and purchase. So I would say that should always be the first step because a lot of brands will push so hard to get into retail. They may get lucky because they have an innovative product. They may have an open minded buyer, which is all great. And you want opportunity like that. However, if you're not prepared and you have no community or no brand awareness, your product's going to sit on the shelf. And guess what? Most retail stores only give you one shot. If it flops, and you can't justify why it flopped and you don't have the bandwidth to send your own community to purchase, they're not going to put you back in that same spot. There's a long waiting list to get into retail. So I would encourage people instead of focusing so much on retail, which your margins are less and there's more risk.
Yeah.
However, the impact can be bigger if you do it properly and calculated. But I would say don't focus as much on that as building the community that's going to be purchasing in your retail store and
Yeah.
training them that way.
Yeah, and you have a bigger platform, and then there's going to be more of a demand for retail. So that is great advice. Now, you went from just a few employees
Yeah,
to, team members to leading now a big team. I don't know how many team
yeah.
members you have now,
We're a
but
team. Yeah.
how
Sorry. Go
many
ahead.
people do you have on the team
We're a
now?
team of 30 here in the US office. And then as
Okay.
we've partnered globally, we're in 30 countries. So they're now all starting to add team members. Our co-packer has added special machinery. So even though our US headquarters is here at 30, we're employing people across the globe, which is really exciting.
That is exciting. Now, what's the most important to is most important to you in scaling your team? And I just know for us, I mean, we have 50 people on our team, and when it was small and we could sit at a table and kind of hash things out and create things, it was totally different. But as you start to get so many people, and now you're international, things can get a little wonky. It's definitely takes a lot more organization and leadership. Have you ever had those moments where you're like, oh shoot, I should have done that differently, or not to be hard on yourself, or
Oh
gosh,
no, I'll be hard on
I
myself.
wish I didn't say that,
Oh no,
or
I will be transparent because it's not for the faint of heart. Building a company and building a team is even harder. You can
yeah,
have the recipe all figured out. You can test and prove your concept at a small scale yourself, but adding multiple team members with all the moving parts to scale and evolve and grow it is a different ball game. So what I focused on from day one, and it took a lot of trial and error, pivoting, kinks, is establishing the proper infrastructure that can be automated and sent out to the teams so then they can have that insight to evolve their swim lanes. So we have crazy programs I've established from everything from tagging every inquiry that comes in with some type of sentiment or what they're saying. So then what that does at the end of the month when I have 10,000 comments is it spits out a report for me. And now I can see, okay, this last month, 300 people didn't even have a clue the cap reverses to get to smaller areas. We need to create more content that really showcases and educates them about that problem. Same thing if people are asking for certain retail stores. I want this, Target. We had a buyer from Target reach out through DM through social media. So you never know who's going to see your stuff. But my point is, if you set up the proper infrastructure, it can catch all of those things when you can't physically be doing everything. As a
Yeah.
CEO, if you're scaling a business, you have to delegate. You can't grow without delegating. You can only do so much. There's only so many hours in the day. So, building each program and looking at each program that you're establishing, figuring out how to create a base, and then teaching whoever's going to be living and breathing that process how to evolve it. These are the things I would look out for. These are the things you want to jot down. So, when I touch base with you in 3 months, we have all this data collected so we can make the next phase.
Right. So you're not recreating the wheel every single time. You have that data. And the other thing that you said, which I think is a really key point, because I think it's probably one of the biggest challenges, especially as business owners get into that 7, 8 figures, is scaling the team and letting go, which is feels very scary
Yes.
for a business owner. But if you don't, you're going to be choking the growth of your business and driving your team absolutely nuts and not letting them be, you know,
Yeah,
really
creatively
to
learn
shine
it.
their brilliance. Yeah.
Right. No, absolutely. And you're, if you don't delegate, you can't look at your business from a bird's eye view to see where all the issues and where your time is most valued, because you know your business like an expert. Not everybody does. You know every piece of your business. So how do you know what's going to pull the lever and keep everything going up and where to focus your energy? And you can't do that unless you have processes and people manning those processes. I will say, when you first develop a business and you're starting to just add a team, there are going to be problems. Just expect it. They are
Yes.
not you. They are not your brain. They don't have the same thought process as you. They don't have the same order of operations of how they would execute on tasks. So that has to be taught. The way we do that is we create boot camps for different departments. I've created very interactive, fun boot camps where we do product knowledge quizzes and games and things like that. We create a lot of SOPs, which are standard operating procedures for each task. Those all have to be established and created to be able to scale, because you need to have a baseline. And then
Mhm.
you can build off that. And then you start reevaluating each of those programs with the data. And so it's a lot. It's a lot of different
Mhm.
moving pieces and layers you have to build.
Yeah. And your own leadership, right? On how you show up.
Yeah.
Because this is your business on the line, but you can't be showing up to your team stressed out, upset, things like that, because just like your children, they're going to bounce off of you.
They feed off your energy, right?
Yeah,
It,
a
you know,
hundred percent.
it's
Yeah.
hard. It's hard
All
because,
this is so good. It's so good, Kelly.
yeah.
I wanted to ask you, because you have a new revenue stream now. You have a new product for ticks,
Yes.
which is, we were talking earlier, which is amazing and helping to hopefully alleviate the Lyme's disease, because like you said, the longer they're in you. So that's incredible.
Yes.
What have been the best strategies for those that are listening that are thinking, yeah, I'm going to now launch another product? What have been your best strategies to launch and scale a new product?
So I identified very quickly by tagging our community. Our own community was asking for a tick product. They were asking if the suction tool worked on ticks. They started using the suction tool on ticks to remove the irritant, because ticks can also leave behind itchy stuff. But by tagging everything, I saw it was a much bigger problem than I would have ever discovered if I didn't listen to my own community. So I encourage all business owners before they're about to add any product, any extension, anything, to make sure there's merit to it and that your own existing community already wants it. Or you pique their interest through social media posts or quizzes or feedback. You need feedback before you branch to that next sector.
Yeah,
And
super
then
smart.
and then when you get there, you need to look at your position. So for me, I'm not an inventor. I never have been, but I am a strategic, creative businesswoman. And I have a big passion in helping people with bug bites and stings and all the diseases and everything around it. So our position is to become the leading educator in this sector for insect bites. And we have teamed up with a network of entomologists, doctor, medical, advisory board members for, Lyme disease. And our tick tool was already invented by literally the tick man. His name is Tick Man Dan. He is our
Wow.
biggest ambassador. And he's very, very established in that community. And they've been trying to spread awareness and educate the world, just like I was doing on insect bites and stings, about ticks and all the issues and problems and what ticks do to our bodies. And the longer they stay in our bodies, what can happen, and the importance of checking yourself thoroughly out of all the scenarios you wouldn't have thought of. You could be walking your dog at the beach and you walk through some brush. What happens if your dog has a tick on them and you're not in a
Yeah.
tick ridden area? You don't know what to do. So that education is very important to get what the CDC and all these people living and breathing and studying, their messaging needs to be relayed to the world. And that's where
Yeah.
we're partnering with them to bring not only a CDC recommended tool, but also something that has a proven track record and that we know is the best on the market. And it's sustainable, it's stainless steel, it works on both people and pets, and we can really get behind it along with the medical community. So
Yeah, no, super, super smart because and also then they can refer you and back and
partnering,
forth,
businesses making.
and I would imagine with, the mosquitoes, just malaria, which is brought on by mosquitoes, this could save a lot of lives,
We have to
with
be
the
careful because insect bites and stings are different. So mosquito borne illnesses are different than tick borne illness. So
right, yeah,
ticks,
but on the other yes, on the other, product with the I know because they have all the nets and things like that,
yes.
in some of these countries, but
Prevention is always best, is my point.
yes.
You always want to try to not get bit or stung.
Yes, exactly, exactly. So, well, this is amazing, and I wanted to just ask you, being a certified women-owned business, and that's what this show is all about. Brought to you by WeBank. How has being WeBank certified as a woman-owned business helped you in your business growth and trajectory?
It's been very exciting. So we finally are certified, officially certified, and
Yay!
we
Congrats.
teamed up with an amazing organization called Parator Enterprise, and they work with a lot of the government contracts and being that middleman between what does the government need, between law enforcement, the military, um, everybody in that sector. They have to purchase from women-owned businesses,
Yes,
and our product perfectly aligns with that. So Parator has been able to use our case studies in our own community, between law enforcement, people purchasing in the military on their own, to take those firsthand testimonials for them to then present it to these bigger organizations to land us some contracts. So it's been incredible. I feel very excited. We're just getting our feet wet, and we're progressing very quickly. So it's exciting.
that's wonderful. And, obviously all the relationships in WeBank, the conferences and all the
Yes.
different support systems that they offer are invaluable.
And the
And
possibility, they want to help. We've
yes,
been phenomenal, from start to finish. And why do you want to become certified? Well, there's a lot of perks, and they can
yes,
explain all those to you and your business, how they apply.
yes, definitely. Thank you for that. And as we wrap up, how can people find you? First of all, your product, what is the best way?
Yeah, so bug bite thing is pretty mainstream, where you just type in bug bite thing online, bugbitething.com. On Amazon, we're Amazon's best selling product. You can also find us on any of the major social platforms. TikTok Shop, like I was mentioning, has started to take off. So we are now on TikTok Shop. So we'll be going on live selling, answering community questions, having games, giveaways, fun interactions with our own community, starting on a cadence coming up in the next few weeks. And then you can follow my personal journey and all the crazy things I just talked about behind the scenes with a lot of business advice and tips that I don't think should be trade secrets on Kelly Higney CEO, Kelley CEO. And that's where you can find on all the social platforms.
Oh, I love it. Well, definitely get a ton of these products so you have them on hand. Traveling, tell your friends about it. Follow Kelly for just some great advice. And you're just such an inspiring journey. And I
Of
love that you're so passionate about what you do. So thank you for being here,
course.
Kelly,
Thank
on
you for
Women Who
having
Own
me.
It.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
And so, for those of you, I hope you enjoyed the show as much as I have. This has been really fun and inspiring. And if you want to learn how to scale your company, I want to send you our best selling book, Scale or Fail. This is our gift to you, this hardback book. It was endorsed by Barbara Corcoran and Damon John. We will drop it in the mail to you absolutely for free, or if you have a gift that you want to give to someone. All you need to do is go to pinnacleglobalnetwork.com/WeBank and share this podcast with business owners that you care about. We so appreciate you doing that. We want to get the word out here in helping all of these business owners grow and scale their business. So until next time, as we always say, make decisions from where you're going and not from where you're at. Bye, everybody.
Bye.